Welcome Strategy Battle Gamers to another GBHL YouTube channel video. You're here with your channel host GBHL James
and GBHL Jamie, and it is the start of the biggest week of the Sourcebook weeks, the Free People's Week.
Everybody's been asking after this one, which is why we left it.
Because it is so rare.
We were going to leave it until last for that reason, so that you would have to keep on watching through the various series to get to this one. Now we haven't done that because we realised that doing the Mordor is actually going to be a lot harder than we thought.
Half the book we've already talked about because it's just a big collaboration of the armies basically. So I'm going to do Free People's because it's much easier to break down into videos for us.
Now we are actually going to have 8 separate videos for this. We have worked out that we're going to do one for the Rivendell part of the book. We're going to do one for the heroes of Mirkwood and Lothlorien.
Rivendell, heroes. 2 for the Lothlorien heroes and troops. 2 for dwarves heroes and troops. The Fellowship, the Shire, Wanderers in the Wild, and White Council roll into one.
They will be sort of bunched into one there. So plenty of content for you this week, so make sure with this kind of show as ever that you get your paints out so you can get into that backlog, and we hope you enjoy. So we are going to get started, of course, with Rivendell, the High Elves. Now High Elves are incredibly popular.
They are very popular. They were some of the first models released. I think that's why people have got that attachment to them, and they look really cool as well.
They do. I have to say that's one of my favourite parts of the Fellowship movie is the opening sequence.
The prelude.
That prologue, as it were, is so cool. Like when you see all of the elves in a line,
one after another.
It's very, very cool. So I can see that, and of course some of the elven heroes and lords are incredibly powerful, which we are going to come to. So we start off with the main man,
Mr. Elrond himself.
Elrond,
170 points.
very expensive.
Big points cost.
Big hero.
So his stat line is fight 6, 3 plus shoot value, strength 4, defense 7, 3 attacks, 3 runes, courage 7, 3 might, 3 will, 3 fate.
Now
So
that's very solid.
very solid profile. Can't take a horse in this version of him, but that's his only sort of downside from the war gear side of things. He comes with heavy armour, an elven blade, and Vilya. So Vilya is one of the 3 elven rings that can be used to reroll his fate points. So as your general, very strong.
Yeah, so for those of you that have taken Gandalf before, more people were more likely to take Gandalf, then you know how good that can be, being able to reroll your fate points.
Yeah, essentially it's 4.5 fate points.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
He's got some special rules. He causes terror, so good. And woodland creature, as all the elves have it. He's also got some magical powers. He has Renew on a 3+, which can be cast on himself.
Renew is where it gives a wound back.
A wound back lost earlier in the game. Can't go above your starting.
What does the channeled version of Renew do?
Gives you D3 wounds back.
D3.
It's risky. It's risky.
It should be D3+1.
Yeah. Like the what is it? The will one. Like Sap Will, it should be D3+1. So you're always going to do better than a regular.
Yeah.
And he has Nature's Wrath on a 4+ as well.
Okay, so reason.
He's not all that magic because that will's going to be used. Well, it's not going to be used for courage because he's courage 7, so he should be passed on that most times.
So we look at that profile now. If you look at his basic stat line, it's very strong.
It is. Yeah.
He's got the fight 6, which is what you want. Strength 4, pretty standard for the hero. Defense 7, so that's pretty good.
Yeah.
3's in all the right places. Nice high courage. He's got that elven blade.
Yep. To win the ties.
Going to really help him in those hero matchups. And the fact that he's got Vilya, he's not going to go down. He's a very good leader.
Yeah.
What do you think about his magical powers?
He's not quite there magically wise. I mean, 170 points base. He's the same as a wizard. What you're trading off with your magic is you are getting a combat hero. Like you should see him as combat hero rather than wizard.
Yeah, combat hero that happens to be able to do a few spells along the way. And spells that are going to help him as well.
Sort of like Celeborn. In fact, he's 20 points more than Celeborn fully tooled up. And what he gains for it is Vilya and the different spells.
Yeah.
So
better spells.
Better spells, yeah. He's got Nature's Wrath and Immobilize. Aura Command and Immobilize compared to Nature's Wrath and Renew. So a bit more utility with him. And Nature's Wrath's far better.
Now where this guy is going to suffer is he is very expensive. 170 points for a hero that you can't mount, therefore he's not going to be able to affect the game as much as you want, is quite a lot of points. So it's very rare that we actually see Elrond on foot, which is a shame.
Yeah.
Because he's a beast.
Especially when we start comparing him to heroes that are going to come on later on. This is where he really falters. It's sort of that Theoden complex.
Yeah, the whole hierarchy of heroes is very important. Now, we'll have to say, before we move on, the model itself, I do really like this model.
Yeah, it's that battle, isn't it?
Yeah, it's from that prologue, it's that moment where he's there, Isildur, cast it into the fire! That's pretty good. It sounded good in my mind.
Let's look at everyone does a Bugs Bunny. It sounds perfect in their head and it just never comes out.
Exactamundo. So yeah, you're not going to see much of this guy. When you're probably going to see Elrond is actually from The Hobbit.
Yeah. When he can be mounted, can take Lindir.
Yeah. So next up
we see a more expensive version of Elrond.
A more expensive version?
A more expensive version.
Surely he must be lots better.
Elrond, the Master of Rivendell.
Okay.
He's an elf. He has the same stat line, fight 6, 3+ shoot value, strength 4, defense 4.
Wow, okay.
Is his downside. 3 attack, 3 runes, courage 7, 3 might, 3 blood, 3 fates. He has an elven blade and Vilya. Interestingly, whilst we were making brews, I was looking at this. He's defense 7 in the first one with heavy armour, and he's defense 4 without heavy armour. So heavy armour is normally worth 2, so really he should be defense 5, basically.
Yeah, I wonder if that's a mistake.
And if he was defense 5, this guy'd be a bit better, but still probably you'd take the other one.
Yeah.
So he has Terror and Woodland Creature, and he's got a special rule, very, very interesting special rule, and I really like this one. Foresight of the Eldar. Before the game begins, roll a d6 and make a note of results. These are Elrond's foresight points.
Very cool.
Elrond can spend these points in the priority phase after both players have made their priority rolls to alter either priority roll, so either one,
Well, that's good.
by +1 or -1 to a minimum of 1 and to a maximum of 6.
That is good.
So you can push your opponents up 1 and yours down 1, let's say if you were 1 above, to swap them for 2 points. Very, very cool for...
It's going to be very, very fair, especially when you get into those end game points where, there's no might on
There's no might table, but you've got your foresight points. And if you roll a 6 for that, you'd be well happy.
Yeah, of course you would.
You
Yeah.
roll a 1, you'd cry a little bit.
Well, yeah, it's that random nature of it. You're not going to be guaranteed how many that you
Maybe if you had 3 every game, you'd be more willing to take it.
3 plus D3 or something.
Yeah.
Again, that's the whole idea.
Yeah. Magical powers, he's got Renew again, and this time he's got the Wrath of Ruinin.
Okay.
And the Wrath of Ruinin is essentially channel Nature's Wrath. So this spell affects all enemy models within 6 inches, but only one foe can attempt to resist it. If resisted, all foes are unaffected. If the resist attempt is failed, they're all knocked to the ground. Cavalry are all ultimately thrown, both steed and rider are knocked to the ground, and all affected models take a strength 2 hit. Or, if they're stood in water, a strength 8 hit.
Okay, so a nice themey, fluffy...
Yes, yeah, it's to represent him sending the horses down the river.
Of course it is, yeah.
Ruinin. What's the chance of you being stood in water when he's around? Very slim. So
Yeah, very situational. And he is a lot more expensive.
yeah, he's an extra 35 points on top for his foresight points, which is a random roll, and the Wrath of Ruinin, and he loses his heavy armour.
And he loses heavy armour. We don't see this
I've
guy.
never seen this guy at all.
No, and again, it's a shame because
Interesting.
you could almost combine those profiles slightly, couldn't you? And because if you added that on there, then that would be kind of.
If he had heavy armour for his points value, then you'd consider him.
Yeah, of course you would. But you never see it. I'm not a huge fan of the model.
No, it's a bit lacklustre.
Yeah, when you see it, well, we'll probably discuss this obviously over the course of this book, but when you see these elves and the faces just seem
They're a bit. Well, it's the old sculpt. So this is a newest sculpt. But yeah.
Yeah, a bit of a weird sort of face thing going on there.
And then again, it could be the paint job because it's got extreme highlights on the cheekbones of the forebrow.
Yeah.
So you're going to highlight just the weird face.
Yeah, we don't see this guy. Very, very expensive. Again, a little bit of a shame because Elrond, you do want to see him. But now we're going to get on to why you're not going to see as much of Elrond. That's because there are some very, very good heroes on this list.
Mm-hmm.
So next up we've got...
So next up we've got Gil-galad.
Oh, the High King of the Elves.
Indeed. So, base points 140. Instantly much more, cheaper than Elrond.
A lot more.
More cheaper. And let's look at his stat line. So he's fight 9.
Wow.
Beaten only by the Balrog.
That's amazing. And the same as Sauron.
Yeah, same as Sauron.
Matches Sauron.
3+ shoot value is irrelevant. Strength 4, defense 7, 3 attacks, 3 runes, courage 7, 3 might, 3 will, 1 fate.
1 fate. So there you go. So you've got his weakness there. He's got the 1 fate.
He's got 1 fate because he obviously does die. However, he can take a shield and reach defense 8.
Nice.
So that becomes better for shooting, better against strength 3 warriors. Strength 4 is still the same, but against the majority of troops in the game, you're going to be doing pretty well. He also has Aglos. I don't know how to pronounce it. Aglos. It's a spear, but gives him +1 to wound.
So now that is really good. Because again, when you talk about sort of utility heroes in the game, and you look at things like lances and things, can have +1 to wound.
Yeah, he's always got +1 to wound, so he can kill more stuff. And he can take, I believe, a horse. It's in an
FAQ, yeah, or an errata, yeah.
I think he can take an armoured horse, 15 points. I think it is armoured. I think so. But he also has something for your army. He can upgrade the warriors to Kingsguard, who have fight 6. And that's at a point extra per warrior.
So that is very useful.
That is very useful. I know David Alexander highly rates Kingsguard, having a few of them scattered around, sort of like the God of Ledger Court style.
Pinning down heroes,
yeah.
Making them having to heroic strike and stuff like that.
So he's got Terror, Woodland Creature, and his standfast is 12 inches. So suddenly, when you see, even on foot, 145 points, he has so much more use to him than Elrond.
Yeah, he's got so much more going for him. The fact that he can get that +1 to wound, if he's on a horse, this guy's going to be a beast. Yeah. He's going to be winning most of the fights that he's in.
And killing most of the stuff he's hitting as well.
And he's not going to go down easy if he loses the fight. So even though he's got the 1 fate, defense 8, because you are going to put a shield in, you've got to. He's going to be actually quite hard to take him down. Yeah. So even though he's not got that 3 fate, pretty tough. Now we do see this guy.
I mean, he is used. It's usually a toss-up between him and Glorfindel, who we'll come on to later. Yeah. However, also just considering him, fight 9, you got to talk about that a little bit. With it being such a high fight value, he's going to be forcing people's heroes to expend might against him, and he's not going to have to spend it himself.
Yep.
On the whole, it's only if you really need to beat a hero that you might want to use that point of might to boost it up to 10.
Yeah, so if you're against that hero, you're vulnerable, you might do that, of course, just to try and make sure that you get there. But with it being fight 9, look at Rohan, they're going to be having to get
4s and 5s,
4s and 5s to sort of match a beat. So all of a sudden, it's not a sort of sure thing, which it never is anyway. But I haven't seen this guy. When I've seen him a lot in all hero lists.
Yeah. He crops up then. Even just in high elf lists, he crops up because gives a lot of killing power to the list.
Now one thing that I don't like about him is I don't like the model.
No,
I don't like the pose.
It's from the film when he's there for 2 seconds. He stabs his spear into the ground. It's like, oh yeah.
Yeah, you see him it's in the extended, isn't it? When he stabs his spear, and it's kind of from that moment. But it's a very kind of static pose, which is a little bit of a shame.
It's a banner bearer.
Yeah, that's what he looks like. He looks a bit like a banner bearer, which is a shame. So that's Gil-galad, and a worthy High King Leos, I'd say.
Yeah.
Good for the points, +1 to wounds, great. Defense 8, fight 9, winner.
Fight 9. Then we have Erestor. So he is very cheap as an elf hero. He is 80 points.
So we're coming to our first of your kind of
your
mid-range.
Yeah. So he is fight 6, strength 4, defense 7, 2 attacks, 2 runes, courage 5, 1 might, 1 will, 3 fate. So he's just sort of Hasharin of the elven world.
Very different kind of profile.
Yeah. So war gear, he has heavy armour, an elven blade, and Noldurin throwing daggers. His throwing daggers allow him to reroll any failed to wound roll when using them in a fight or throwing.
So that's really handy.
Yeah,
that's really handy.
So his 2 attacks are essentially 4 chances.
Bane of Kings.
Yeah. Yeah. He can take an elven cloak for 10 points, which I think is worth it. You stay hidden that little bit longer. And terror. Oh, he doesn't have terror. He got rid of terror, but he does have a little creature.
Yeah, I think
it's these 2 got swapped.
Those 2 got met. No, that's right. Yeah. So with Erestor, again, a very different. He's your mid-level. He's got a decent fight. Got his fight 6. Got his strength 4.
He makes a great general, doesn't he? Stood in the wood.
Well, there is a battle report where I use Erestor and hide him the whole game because he gives away VPs and then he runs away.
Double one.
So if you want to go check out that battle report, do. That was Thorin's Company versus
High Elves.
High Elves versus Jamie. Standard James victory. Now 2 attacks, 2 wounds, courage 5.
It's a bit low for an elf hero.
You'd think that he'd be courage 6.
Yeah. But I guess that's the sort of rule. In a regular battle plan, Erestor probably will die at some point.
Yeah, reasonably survivable with the 2 wounds and the 3.
And defense 7.
Defense 7. Lack of might, he's not going to impact the game in that kind of way. He's a very different kind of hero. Very interesting profile.
He'll probably just kill a troop a turn and continue to do it.
Yeah, definitely. Do we see much of Erestor?
He does pop up often, simply because he's so cheap that he allows you to bring some troops, and we'll see later on that they're not that cheap, the troops.
Yeah, and that's something that we can really discuss as well, is what kind of armies you're likely to see of High Elves, what their limitations are, and where they excel. So that's Erestor, and then we go on to
a very, very rarely seen model.
It's a shame because he's beautiful.
Very, very good model. So it's Círdan, the shipwright, isn't it?
Is it Círdan?
Yeah. He's 90 points, so, up there for cost wise. And let's have a look at his profile. He's fight 6, strength 4, defense 4, 1 attack, 2 wounds, courage 6, 1 might, 4 will, 1 fate.
He's an easy caster, isn't he? He's using shaman profile.
You're shaman. 141. Círdan is unarmed. Eek. Risky.
Now, I brought Círdan to a battle report versus JT, and he brought his Easterlings, and Círdan couldn't wound. Like, I chucked him in there because he was in my face.
That -1.
The fight 6 was great, but he couldn't wound these Easterling heroes and stuff.
No.
Just couldn't touch them because the -1. He's not a combat dude. However, his fight 6 can be quite useful.
Yeah, just get him in there.
Just get him in there so that you're beating other heroes sometimes.
He has terror and woodland creature, so a theme here is most of these old elves have terror. He has got some spells. He's got Aura of Command on a 2+, which is alright, you know.
Aura of Command is the one that...
6-inch bubble around you, anyone who has to take a courage test within it automatically passes.
Okay, right.
And it's an exhaustion spell. Blinding Light on a 2+,
Which is good.
You're probably going to spend your might point to channel, so you might want to throw 2 dice at it, which then will reduce your ability. And then he's got Aura of Dismay, so that's a 6-inch terror bubble on a 5+. So he's going to buff your troops if he can get his spells off.
Yeah. He's your behind the line guy, you know, he's behind the line, giving that blinding light, because I think in this list, if you're going direct for High Elf heroes, he's the only one.
He's the only one who's got
He's the only way of getting cast blinding light in there, which is why you might possibly take him. And I think when I've theorised lists and stuff to get him in, it's for that reason only.
For my Wood Elf list, I've considered taking Círdan rather than Galadriel because of the 40-point difference. However, she's got more spells for her as well. So.
Yeah. You don't tend to see this guy. It's a shame because he's a gorgeous model, and some of the best paint jobs I have to say that I've seen have been on Círdan.
Yeah.
Because he is stunning. I've got 2 of them, I believe, downstairs. Who would like to buy one? Sell it to you for extortion price because he's quite rare. So yeah, we don't see him, but something that we do see quite a lot are the next 2.
Yeah. So Eladar and Elra here.
We've spoken about these.
Talk about these in the Arnor Sourcebook, or the Arnor section of the King's Men book. Should we have a quick recap, just a very brief one?
I think they deserve it because they are incredibly useful.
Yeah. So
in lots of different lists.
140 points for both, and they've got a very good profile. They are fight 6, strength 4, defense 5 basic, 2 attacks, 2 wounds, courage 6, 3 mights, 2 will, 2 fate.
Now it's that hero bit.
Yeah.
3-2-2.
3-2-2
for the
on
points.
Both of them. So you're essentially getting 6 might for your army for 140 points.
Which is amazing.
Which is very good, and it can be separated, unlike Boromir, who's got it concentrated. They can take Elven Cloaks for 20 points, Horses for 20 points, Elf Bows for 10, and Heavy Armour for 10. So you take them with Horses and Heavy Armour as a priority, Bows if you can afford it later on.
Yeah, definitely. Woodland Creature, just like all of the elves.
Yep.
But then this is an area which of course means that if they do get dismounted, they're still very effective. They've got the twin elven blades, which is when fighting on foot, the brothers must choose to fight in one of 3 different ways in the fight phase. Each brother can fight even with a single sword as a 2-handed weapon, which you tend to see happen less unless you really need to get a kill and you've got loads of troops in. With 2 swords for +1 attack, you do tend to see this.
Yeah, that's the standard.
That's the standard.
Just like Gimli.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And with Gimli, what do? You use your axes of the dwarves doing your 3 attacks. Or they can parry, which counts as shielding, which again, if you need to keep them alive, you need to hold something up.
You do that.
Yeah, you do that.
And then they have their unbreakable bond, so if one of the twins is killed, the other twin will go crazy, and this is their real sort of Achilles heel, is that their strength and defence will switch around, so unless you give them heavy armour, their defence will drop by 1, their strength increases by 1. It's the best way to remember it.
Now, is it the base level?
Base, yeah.
So it's the base?
Yeah.
So even if you've given them armour?
If you give them heavy armour, then that's why it's like -1+1. So you don't go down to defence 4 regardless of your armour, you go down to defence 5.
Oh, you do? Right, okay. So what tends to happen is if one of them dies, a clever player will try and make sure that they can kite away and try and make sure that the blow that is struck against one of them is done by something that can just...
fast, or is in a position to leg it. So the other model must then chase after and do all it can possible to charge and kill that model that killed its brother, which can include heroic marches, heroic combats, heroic moves to make sure he gets there. So you can burn through his might when you don't really want him to be doing it.
Yeah, the thing with these guys is that for what you get for them, they are great value.
Yeah.
You know, it is expensive. You 500 points, it's tough to get that much in. But if you think about what you get for them, they do take up a slot in your warband as well, so 11 troops. But where you do tend to see them quite a lot is in a lot of all-hero lower points games, because they just bring so much to the table with their Elven Blades, the fact that if their horses go down, they're still effective.
Attacks,
and 3 might each is really for winners. So great profiles. The models, I really like the armoured models.
The armoured ones are much better than the cloth ones.
The cloth ones, weird faces. And
the monkey twins.
Ones. And if you want to see great paint jobs on them, go and check out the Eladon and Eregion that Shadow and Flame painted for us, and it is on this channel.
Yeah.
Wow.
Then we come to Arwen.
Is she the cheapest?
She's the cheapest of the named Elven. Oh, she's the cheapest. She's just the cheapest hero. On par with the High Elves, Storm call it.
Yeah.
It was rubbish.
So Arwen.
Arwen. So stat line: fight 6, 3+.
Fantastic.
Strength 3, which is a lady.
Sexist Games
Workshop.
And has that only changed since it's Tariel?
Tariel's the only Strength 4 lady.
Wow. It's good to see that they've modernised in 10, is it 10 years?
Yeah. Defense 3. 1 attack, 2 wounds, courage 6, 1 might, 3 will, 1 fate.
Now you look at that and you think that is pretty weak in a lot of ways. But she actually got quite a lot of utility for her points.
So she comes with an Elven Blade, so you know, like all these heroes are going to do well in ties, and she's fight 6, remember that. Asphalloth, just a horse, she can take that for 10 points.
It is a shame that Asphalloth is a named horse, isn't
one of the mirror profiles.
Yeah.
Like defense 5, 12 inches, would be better. And she can take an Elven Cloak for 10 points. Now, given the spell she's got, I'd be more tempted to take her with an Elven Cloak and keep her behind the lines.
Depends on the kind of army, but
so she's got Expert Rider, which is a rarity in this list.
Yep.
Woodland Creature, and she can cast Nature's Wrath on a 4+.
And this is where you tend to see her being used, is behind the lines, getting Nature's Wrath off so that your main battle line, your other heroes, are going in against guys on the ground.
Yeah.
You know, that's what her 3 will are there for. She is not for combat, really, is she?
No.
However, same as like with Círdan, you can chuck her in there for that fight 6.
Sort of like an Eowyn.
Yeah.
She's not very good, but she's got the fight value.
Yeah. And the fact that she got the fight value, the Elven Blade, pretty good. I think Eowyn's better.
Yeah, I think for her points.
Eowyn's better. Now, if you do see her on a horse, it'll tend to be because she's with like an all-hero force. Maybe she needs to keep up with them, and because it does mean that if you are getting priority and you're able to get the charge, at least 2 attacks. At least you got 2 attacks, because that 1 attack leaves you very, very vulnerable. Gorgeous model.
Yeah, very nice.
Again, same with Círdan, some of the nicest paint jobs I've seen.
There's a special edition of her, isn't there, with Frodo as well?
That's right, yeah. And that's another gorgeous model. One of which I don't have, so again, if anybody wants to send me that, I don't think I have it anyway. Lovely model.
Then we come to potentially the best hero out of the list, in my opinion anyway.
I think possibly one of the best heroes in the game for points and what he can do.
Yeah. It is Glorfindel, Lord of the West.
So it is apt that he is what he is.
Yeah. Base value is 130 points, so pretty cheap. Cheaper than Gil-galad, cheaper than Elrond.
Much cheaper than Elrond.
Much cheaper than Elrond.
10 points cheaper than the 2.
The twins, basic, yeah.
Yeah.
So let's look at his stat line. He's fight 7. Big point there.
And especially, I mean, there might be some people who come into the game relatively recently with a Battle of 5 armies. You must remember that back here, anything above a 6 fight value wise was a big deal. I don't think Heroic Strike existed.
Heroic Strike never existed when these were released, so him being fight 7, he would beat all your other heroes except Gil-galad.
Yeah.
If you roll a 6, he'd win the fight.
Or the battle.
Or yeah, any sort of big monster.
Yeah.
But yeah. Strength 4, Defense 5 basic, so he doesn't even wear armor, he's Defense 5, which I think Elrond should be Defense 5. 3 attacks, 3 wounds, Courage 7, 3 might, 3 will, 3 fate.
And you would look at that and you would say that is a very solid stat line. It's solid. And with that fight 7 in there as well, very good.
He's got an Elven Blade, so he's winning those ties. He can take the Armour of Gondolin for 10 points.
Now this, for 10 points, this is cheap.
This is very cheap what it does.
This is cheap.
Yeah.
So Armour of Gondolin, it counts as heavy armour. So that's not +1, because he doesn't have any armour in his profile. That's +2. So all of a sudden, Defense 5 goes to Defense 7, and this guy is your complete hero, I think.
Yeah.
complete hero. But what else does Armored Gondolin do?
It makes him resistant to magic, so even when he's got no will left, he can still maybe resist a spell.
No, that's
every
very
time
handy.
a spell's casted. Yeah.
That's very handy because big heroes like this, what is their main weakness? It's somebody just
transfix.
Transfix them out of the game. Transfix, compel.
Yeah.
Just getting them out of the game. So the fact that he's still got a chance to do that, that's a big thing for him.
Yeah. And then he can take Asphaleth or a horse as well. So not only can he be defense 7, fight 7, 3 attacks, 3 ruins, 3/3/3, he can also then take a horse, make himself get the 4 attacks and the knockdown.
Now what is really interesting is the points cost for this guy,
Yeah.
because he does seem such great value.
150 points for a horse, defense 7, 3 might, 3 will, 3 fate, and fight 7. So he's good. He's above average for everything.
Yeah, and I would say if you were going to bring anything that kind of matches up to that, you would say maybe that you knew Thranduil might be close to that in some ways because for the value factor. Yeah. But then when you compare it to other things in this list, compared to Elrond, why would you ever take Elrond?
For 170 points, he's got lower fight value, same defense.
Can't take a horse.
Isn't resistant to magic, and he's going to be using his will quicker than he is.
I mean, yeah, he can re-roll his fate, because that's the one strong thing I would say with Elrond there that's in his favour, really. Yeah, he's got the spells, which are handy.
The re-rolling fate's Elrond's thing. But 20 points, you take this guy and have you fight 7.
Yeah. Now, what is an interesting predicament sometimes between High Elf players is when they go for that big hero, do you go for the Gil-galad with his fight 9, which is incredibly good, which means
and sword to wound.
And his +1 to wound and the defence 8.
Yeah.
Or are you coming over and you say, right, okay, well, if I fight 7, which is less, if you get the resistance to magic, Armored Gondolin,
3 fate.
3 fate. What are your opinions?
I'd take Glorfindel over Gil-galad personally.
More reliable.
Yeah, just he's consistently more reliable. Yeah. Fight 9's a bit extreme. You don't need fight 9. If someone's coming up against you, they're going to heroic strike, so you might want to heroic strike anyway.
Yeah.
Fight 7's enough to beat most things off with your Elven Blade, and if you need to beat something higher, you can use your might to heroic strike if you really need to.
I think the one big area there is that +1 to wound with Gil-galad. That's the argument that you tend to see. So those two really are your big beasts. And it's not the last of the named, we've got one more. Oh!
We have one more. How could you forget?
Well, it's easy to forget this guy because every single time I've used him, by the way, he's a stunning model. And talking about Glorfindel before we move on, Glorfindel's an interesting one because the armoured Glorfindel on foot, I think, is a beautiful model.
Yes, it's the one here.
It is a beautiful model. Really clean, crisp, nice. The unarmoured, which is what you've got on horse, and
it's very blah.
Yeah, it's a bit just everything's sharp. So I think I might convert a Rivendell Knight into being good.
A lot of people have done that with just head swaps and things.
Yeah. Thank you, Rivendell Knight Plastics.
Yeah,
You've made these good because lots of people used to do it with.
This do it with one of the twins.
Yeah, which is an expensive
conversion. Cut a head off, swap them over. Done.
Okay, so we are talking about next Gildor Inglorian.
Yeah, so 80 points. So lower than he's your low mid, isn't he?
Yeah.
He is fight 6, strength 4, defense 4, 2 attacks, 2 wounds, courage 6, 1 might, 4 will, 1 fate. So another mid caster. Lots of mid casters in this list, isn't there?
Yeah. Yeah, he's kind of your sort of kid and a little bit cheaper.
Yeah.
But at least he's not unarmed.
But he actually comes with an Elven Blade and an Elven Cloak.
And that's where you might see this guy being put in, because could make you can roll an alright general.
Yeah. I've got to say for Glorfindel as well, he's got Expert Rider, Woodland Creature and Terror as well. So
Standard.
Gildor Inglorian has Terror and Woodland Creature, so more Terror. And he has the Immobilize special ability as well.
Yeah, which
special
is
power.
Maybe why you might bring him in there. He's reasonably cheap.
And it's the only access to it in this list purely as well.
Yeah. So being able to chuck out Immobilize. Immobilize is such a key spell. It's such a controlling spell, and very important.
He actually will bring a second troop type to the army as well. So warriors of Rivendell can only take a High Elf warrior basic. If he's in there, he can take Wood Elf warriors and upgrade them to Noldorian exiles for 2 points. Is it 2 plus 1 point in model, and they can move 8 inches.
Yeah.
So he essentially unlocks 2 extra troop types. He unlocks Wood Elves and Noldorian exiles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so can he bring just a normal Wood Elf warrior, or do they not have to be?
Don't have to be,
upgraded?
no, I don't think so.
You sure?
That's what all the army builders say.
Oh, very interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure somebody would jump on us if I thought they had to be upgraded to an ordering.
It would make sense. I think if you're taking him, oh, he moves 8 inches basic. Sorry, that's a stat I always miss off because it's usually so irrelevant.
Yeah, because you never really talk about people's moves.
Yeah.
And that can be handy as well for getting him out of trouble.
Yeah.
You know, making sure he's not under threat. And with that being, with him having the Elven Cloak as well, you can always just sort of stay out of that charge range.
And it gives him extra range and is mobilised to run forwards and do it. So yeah.
Of course it does. Now this guy, I love this model, and he goes for quite a bit. Again, since I'm stunning paint jobs on him, but he has always let me down.
Yeah, he's let you down plenty of times. I think he's a really good hero.
I think he's reasonably solid. Yeah, reasonably solid. And
He's got 2 attacks.
Fight 6.
He's as good as Legolas in combat.
Yeah, he's
except for the mines.
defense 4. Not fantastic, but you're hoping that you're winning those fights.
Yeah.
But he always lets me down. I always seem to roll 1s and 2s for immobilises, and he dies. But I'm sure other people have had some good success with him. So that's Gildor. You mainly see this guy if people want to bring a different troop type into your Rivendell force, because we'll get to that. So we actually come to the unnamed guys now.
Yes, there's only 2 of these. There is the High Elf Stormcaller. So, High Elf Stormcaller, move 6, fight 5, strength 3, defense 4, 1 attack, 2 wounds, courage 5, 1 might, 3 will, 1 fate.
He's your mid-low.
He's your shaman, 60 points.
Yeah.
He wears armour, has woodland creature, and has 2 magical powers, Call Winds and Strength and Will. So Strength and Will, you can use that to give back to your other mid-casters on a 4+. Call Winds is a unique spell. You target a single enemy model, it's cast on a 2+, and they're pushed back 2d6 inches, knocked over, and can't do anything further that turn.
So similar to...
Can't move that turn.
Is it similar in some ways to Sorcerer's Blast in all ways? Does it knock over other...
It doesn't knock over models. If you hit another model or terrain, you instantly stop.
Ah, okay.
It can be useful for knocking over a key monster. I tend to use it with my Wood Elf ones on things like trolls.
Right, okay, yeah.
Because they've got no will to resist. 2+, if they've got a line behind them, it just falls over and they can charge it.
Yeah, that's good.
Then it can't hurt you back. They also have a special rule called wind channeling. So if when
wild
they cast,
channeling,
if they wild channeling, I'm pretty sure it's wind channeling. That's what I've always called it.
Might be a typo. Is it the same on these?
Wild channeling. There you go.
You learn something every day. It's a good job that we do these videos.
I think wind channeling sounds much better because they use cold winds.
Yeah,
so
I know what you mean.
Yeah. So if when they cast a spell on one or more of the dice, it's a natural 6 that they cast a spell with. All the will they've used to cast that spell is brought back to the store.
That's really good.
So if for them,
I've seen you do that with your Wood Elf Stormcallers. It's well annoying.
cold winds, I get a 6. That's free. Now you've got a really tough choice. You're like, well, do I resist it? Because it's a 6.
You could be there being dead smoke going boom.
Boom! 6! High five some random who walks past.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Do we see many? I don't think I've ever seen any High Elf
The
Stormcallers.
High Elf Stormcallers fall down in comparison to the Wood Elf ones because the Wood Elf ones have Nature's Wrath.
Yeah.
Which is so much better than Strength and Will.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you don't really see them. Reasonably cheap. And when you've got so many cool named characters to take as well, like beforehand, you're always going to choose those over. And then we've got your basic High Elf Captain. He's fight 6, he's strength 4, defense 6 standard, 2 attacks, 2 wounds, courage 6, 2, 1, 1. Pretty solid. Heavy armour, Elven Blade, which is pretty handy. In fact, he can take a shield and go to defense 7, that's good. He can take a horse as well, which is good. Could take an Elven Bow if you had the points. He's woodland creature, nothing particularly special, but quite solid.
Yeah.
75 points basic. You'd expect him to be going up to sort of 90 points.
Yeah.
But if you compare that to a Rivendell Knight Captain,
They got so much more. They got a lance. They got a bow.
they start at 90, don't they?
Yeah.
So you're only paying an extra 5 for the shield, so 95 points.
And you get bow lance.
And you get your bow and lance in there.
Expert rider.
So they're probably just maybe a touch expensive, or well, Rivendell Knight Captain's probably a bit cheap.
Yeah.
To be honest.
I think that's right.
So that actually takes us to the end of the heroes. But I think that we can sneak in the troop in this one because there is only, well, there isn't, but
Yeah.
we've got one troop really that we'll talk about here.
Mhm.
And this is the High Elf Warrior.
Yeah, the humble High Elf warrior.
The humble High Elf Warrior.
He is fight 5, as an elf should be.
It's good.
3+ shoot value.
It's good.
Strength 3, defense 5, 1 attack, 1 wound, courage 5. And he comes with heavy armour and his points are 9.
Yeah. So it's about right.
It's about right. Interestingly, this was a change to the High Elf army when they came in. You used to be able to take them as defense 3 basic, and you had to pay to give them heavy armor.
Right. Okay.
Or they had armor. No, that was it. They came with armor, and you'd pay a point to upgrade them to heavy armor.
Right. Okay. So that'll give you a bit more flexibility in this army, because what we'll get to is when we go through the upgrades is that very quickly your rounded High Elf army racks up the points.
Yeah.
And when you combine that to some of the heroes that you can take them with, you can end up with a very small elitish force.
Yeah. So I think a banner, like most things, can 25 points.
Worth it for elves, I would say.
Worth it for elves, definitely. Especially because banners used to be 35 points for them.
Yeah, yeah.
Because obviously 5/5 is better than the banner.
Yeah, it's going to have more of an effect.
They can take an elf bow for 2 points, which you're going to want in an elf army. There's no point taking elves and then not taking the bows.
Yeah, you get the strength of it. So you're going to see about a third of your army going up. So immediately a third of your army might be up at 11 points.
Yeah. An elven blade for a point. Probably don't need it across the board, so you might want to save your points on that one.
Yeah.
A shield for a point takes you defense 6. You're going to do that.
Yeah.
Especially for your front line.
Yeah, it makes a big difference.
A spear for a point. You're probably going to take a shield and spear in your back line as well.
Yeah.
Because that's what the models come with, so you might as well do it.
So all of a sudden you've got an army of sort of 10, 11 point troops,
Yeah.
which is quite expensive. So you're looking at, so your Urukai costs in a lot of ways, but no really good mid-level heroes, like solid mid-level heroes like you've got with your Isengard army. So where this list probably falls down a little bit is the fact that it ends up being quite a small
Typically they get sort of 2 full warbands, a big hero, a little hero, and they've got to use like a chunk of points at the end. It's like, what do I spend my last 40 points on? What do I spend my last 50 points on?
Yeah.
Where can I spend these points?
Yeah.
You can't really increase your big hero to Master of Rivendell because there's no point, because you got a better hero for cheaper.
Yeah.
And then if you take your sort of your mid-level heroes and spend those points on them, you've not got enough points to get the next big hero. So you drop your numbers some more, and you're in that sort of predicament. It's like, what's better?
Yeah, and if you go for your second hero being reasonably expensive, you've not got your full warbands, and you struggle for numbers. So that tends to be, it's on its own, it's a list that can struggle.
Yeah.
Just simply because you can't really get the numbers to bear. The troops end up costing quite a bit, and your heroes cost a bit. So when do we tend to see, what kind of High Elf armies do we tend to see? Well, we see all hero High Elf reasonable amount.
All heroes, well,
or included in.
Eladam, Glorfindel and Gilgalad will be the 3 that will get wrapped up into a all hero list if you're going to take some of them. The list, as a pure list, you'll tend to see the twins and Glorfindel is the sort of the standard 2 hero choices.
Yeah.
And then just your sort of your basic line fights. You might not even take bows. You just get set up on the straight on the line and get in combat as soon as possible.
Yeah. Now, do we see many High Elf armies out there? I mean, because it's interesting. The Warriors of Rivendell. It's quite interesting because you've got the old Last Alliance plastics.
Yeah.
Which are actually quite nice plastics.
Considering how old they are.
They are really not. I really enjoyed painting the bowmen.
Yeah.
And the swords. It's just a shame that you've got one pose really.
Uni pose.
It's one kind of pose, and you know why? It's because it's that one. It's that scene really, isn't it, from the movie? But I've got some of the metal shield and spear downstairs, and they're really lovely. Really lovely models. They're very popular on the channel whenever they come up.
Yeah. How do you paint your cloaks?
I'm going to try and do some nice themed. In fact, maybe the battle report for the end of this week. Do a nice themed Rivendell versus Angmar kind of thing. It'd be quite cool. Maybe do something like that. Now, have we ever seen these guys winning tournaments?
Back when it was before warbands. Yes, that's when they really ruled supreme.
Yeah, I bet they suffered with
having to take a big hero for 12 warriors. This is an army that we spoke about it in Speak Fan Question for the past 2 weeks, where if you had that influence stat, that say Glorfindel could take 24 warriors, they'd do a lot better.
Yeah. So that really is it. That takes us to the end of our discussion about the High Elves and the Rivendell forces from the Free People's Sourcebook. So we hope you enjoyed that video, and next up that means that we are going to be talking about Mirkwood and Lothlorien, the heroes, Jamie's favourite. Look how excited he is. This was like me when we did Rohan. That's right. Did you? I got to mention
Yeah.
Rohan. Brilliant. So guys, we really hope you enjoyed that. Get involved in the discussion. Let us know what you thought of the video below. And yeah, would you like to see more battle reports with High Elves? We can certainly try and do it. So guys, don't forget to comment, like, share and subscribe.
Support your hobby like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
And as ever team, happy strategy battle gaming.